our local, our regional, our international listeners and viewers throughout the world, those of you on the new U975 Multicultural Radio, Synergy TV, Caribbean Showtime Television in Canada, a very warm welcome to another edition of the program Conversations with Zelisa, where we continue to inform, educate, empower and answer those unanswered questions. I am Zelisa Budu Singh Rupani, humbly inviting you to sit back, relax, enjoy, but more importantly, absorb the relevant and important information we are about to share with you, all right? Directing this morning in Master Control, joining us in Master Control as well, Akua George and Nicholas Rupnarayan. On behalf of our team, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a great day today, a happy day today. It's Thursday, the 13th of April, 2023. It is a day and time we'll never have the opportunity to have again. So, you know, here's wishing you a great day today if you're celebrating a birthday. I know there's a handsome young man by the name of Navin Siraj of Dabadi. I think I sent a picture to my, yeah, that's Navin there. Happy birthday to you, Navin. Greetings coming from your gorgeous wife, Cindy, and your beautiful daughter, Navita, the love of your life. She is the pride and joy, the apple, and the best gift from God that you could get. So greetings from your wife, your daughter, the entire home circle, all of us here at Conversations with Zelisa, simply wishing you a great day today, and may God continue to bless you richly. We're going to go into our quote for today, coming to us with the kind compliments of Fab India Expo, and it says, "Never let the defeat of the past rob you of the success of your future. Let your past be. Close the door. Let it be. Don't bring that baggage or the problems of your past into today or into your future. Close the door and open one for a successful future." That came to us with the kind compliments of Fab India Expo. They're open. Check them out. Great deals. And of course, you know, you could make it a family affair because they've got the play area where you could take the kids, and of course the food court that I always enjoy. So check them out today, all right? Let's say good morning and a very warm welcome going out to Mr. Stevenson Byng. Morning, it's nice having you again.
Thank you again for being here.
You're welcome. You know, I've had the opportunity to have a conversation with you here on Conversations, but today we're going to be talking about something completely different, and that of course is returning nationals from the Middle East, and your perspective, your thoughts on how it can, or what it can do now for citizens or them returning back to this land, yeah?
Okay. So actually in 2021, I did a paper on a critical analysis of returning ISIS fighters to Trinidad and Tobago. It was something that was discussed among our class in National Security and Intelligence Studies at the University of the Southern Caribbean. We were looking ahead after the war in Syria, Iraq, what will happen to persons who wish to return to Trinidad and Tobago. And so we were discussing it, and in 2021 I decided to write a paper on it. And we also decided to have a seminar where other persons, security practitioners, national security professors could come and discuss the issue, not only from a Trinidad perspective, but a CARICOM perspective.
Nice.
How would CARICOM deal with returning fighters? Yes, Barbados took in 2 fighters, persons who went to Syria, the conflict zone, they took them back. But how would we in Trinidad and Tobago deal with it? And so there were a lot of ideas being thrown out, and I am saying we need to have a national discussion on it. And so we spoke about it, and some ideas came up, all right? And we started examining the prison service, the intelligence service, the police service, the whole national psyche about returning nationals. How would you treat it? And strangely enough, almost Trinidadians say that, listen, let these people stay there. There's something in the Trinidadian psyche that he still believe, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. There's something still in his psyche. And we make reference to 1970 and 1990, and persons were forgiven, persons went on to live new lives, some persons, continuing crime, as the case may be. But persons, the general population, I think, forgive persons who are involved in those acts. Where do we go now with these people here?
You think we are a forgiving people?
I think so. Generally, the average Trinidadian still, he might curse you and get on and make some noise and thing, but he will forgive. He will forgive. Some persons hold on to some things very long, you know, but I'm not saying that we just bring back everybody, carte blanche, you know, and just drop them in Trinidad. We must examine what were these people involved in. You know, the Dutch government, for instance, there are persons, Dutch nationals, who went back to the Netherlands and they said, listen, we were involved in ISIS, we committed these crimes. The Dutch government could say, okay, rehabilitation or detention, make a pick. All right, some offer amnesty to them and say, okay, you were there, you want to move on with your life, but you must go into rehabilitation. This ideology you have, you know, you must go into rehabilitation to see how we could fix this. So I think it's something we have to address. We can't keep running from it. We have to address it sooner or
later. We have to address it whether we like it or not. You're correct.
And so I think the national discussion that we should have should bring in all these stakeholders. I see Ms. Nafiza Mohammed have been at the forefront pushing, you know, to bring back the returning nationals.
Oh, she's been a warrior.
Of course, and she has been really at it, you know, I mean to say, it have cost her a great price, but she has been at the forefront trying to bring back...
Well, she's blazing the trail when it comes to standing in the forefront as a woman, an Islamic woman, right, fighting for the rights.
And there, of course, there are other persons in the background. Now, one of the things I heard people were saying and discussing, you know, we talk to other people about this. It will cost, at the time in 2014, when some of our nationals left to go to the event, it was costing about $25,000 to go there. Who will stand the cost to bring back these people?
Mm-hmm. Good point you've raised there.
And many of the families of these relatives or these persons say they are willing to bear the cost. They are willing to bear the cost to bring back their nationals or their families.
Their family members.
Yeah. They're willing to bear the cost. I think the Islamic community, the Muslim community in Trinidad and Tobago has the resources to bring back these people if they so choose. The question, I think, is who will be responsible for these people? And what kind of rehabilitation program would we have, would they engage in? We have no law in this country that will tell a person, listen, you have to go into a rehab center for this. Yes, persons who are on drugs and the magistrate will sometimes say, listen, you need to go Cora if you want help, and based on recommendations from the social worker. So we need to have persons from all these different sectors, the social worker, you know, the psychologists, the security professionals, national security people, immigration involved. Yes, the Nightingale Committee made up all these people. And 2 years now.
You speak of psychologists or psychiatrists or counselors. And I would say that when it comes to the innocent children and women, in terms of their experiences, I'm sure most of them very traumatizing based on what we would have heard. I think in terms of those in particular, ensuring that they get some sort of intervention for psychological help before they
even coming back.
Yes,
even coming back.
It's important.
Even returning.
I truly think it's very important.
What the Dutch government did, and what I think the Australian government did. Their embassies liaise with the Syrian government. Some of them have consulates in Turkey and other places, and they liaise with their consulate, the officers there, and they look after their nationals who went there, and they say, listen, some of these fighters corroborated with the government, and they say, listen, we were involved in this, we were involved in that. They give evidence, they give information as to who they fought alongside with, and they say, okay. they were able to help. So listen, yes, we committed these crimes, but we're willing to come and pay. What is the price we have to pay? But we're willing to come back home. Yes, we made errors. We made bad choices, but we're willing to come back home. And whatever the price is, are we looking at Trinidad nationals looking at that and saying, okay, are we willing to bring these people home? Because really and truly, to make somebody stateless is really a kind of hard thing. You know?
It is.
You know, and you raise the point about children. If we have children, well, some of these persons children are teenagers now and young adults. Some of them would have left here when they were 8, 9, 10.
They're young adults.
Right?
You're correct.
So the young adults. Some of them have been trained, they received training, and I mean to say some of them would have experienced combat that some of our members of our defense force would not have experienced.
Correct.
They have training in explosive. They have experience in urban combating. The average Trinidad and Tobago soldier does not receive or have no experience in those things. So I guess from that perspective, some persons have their concern that if these people should align themselves with a gang, and we don't have, you know, what would be the position now of our security forces? We have a different battle to face now.
We are already, when it comes to crime, should be number one, because it's alarming, it's out of hand, you know, and we don't feel safe already as it is in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't feel safe. We are living in fear, and it's sad to know that we are living like that now, and then being exposed to the fear. So you're correct. Intervention, some sort of counseling, some sort of molding needs to be taken place. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. What we have seen where persons who enter rehab centers with like drug addiction, we look at, I know Friends Forever, the Ready Center had a very successful rate of almost 60% and more with rehabilitation for persons on substance abuse and all, drug addiction. But this is a whole new ball game. This is a whole new ball game.
It is. And it is something that we really need to sincerely consider and have some sort of action plan. But more importantly, implement it and put it in place.
What about persons who went to Syria, were in combat, and have returned to Trinidad and Tobago? So there are persons in Trinidad and Tobago who were in Syria, nationals who fought in Syria, and have returned to Trinidad and Tobago. And in one instance, in fact, somebody said, not even a traffic ticket they have received. Why people are afraid of them? They haven't even received a traffic ticket, you know, a violation for a traffic offense. You know, so what are we afraid of? You know, should we, you know, I know this is a national conversation that some of us don't want to have, but Zelisa,
a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but we should talk about it. So we should have a greater understanding of a coping mechanism, and more importantly, dealing with it and implementing things to sincerely deal with it.
No, Trinidad and Tobago is the country or the state in the Western Hemisphere with the largest amount of foreign terrorist fighters in the Western Hemisphere. There must be a reason why so much decided to leave to go to Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, leave to go Syria. But did we probably get to the root of why they were leaving? And I think CARICOM is looking at Trinidad and Tobago as to how we handle the situation, to probably model their program, their systems, their legislation, whatever Trinidad and Tobago do with this. We will be taking the lead as to how they will treat with it, because it's something new. I mean to say, you have, okay, the British government, UK government report that they have like over 400,000 passports stolen, right, over a period of time. Let's say 4 or 5 years, right? Within a year, over 400,000 passports stolen. Most of these persons actually sell their passport for £2,500. They delay reporting the stolen passport or the lost passport or the stolen passport to the government. That passport is now used by traffickers and terrorist organizations transnational organized crime to use to help transport and traffic persons. How much passports, CARICOM passports, are being used?
Point taken. With that, let's just hold that thought. Let's go to these important messages. This is the program Conversations with Zelisa, in conversation with Mr. Stevenson, Byng, and of course talking to you today about returning nationals from the Middle East. When we return, I'm going to open up the telephone line, give you the opportunity to call in, join in on the conversation, or perhaps you've got an opinion as well, you'd like to share it. Please be part of the conversation, or perhaps send us a message. I'll read it to Mr. Byng. Stay with us.
Visit Fab India Expo at the White Tent opposite Medford Gas Station, Shogunas. Get the latest fashion, Indian and Western garments, and just in time for Eid, we've got Islamic wear available. Getting married or attending a wedding? Then this is the place for you. From bridal to elegant wear with matching jewelry and footwear. Curtains starting at $4 for $100. Also available shirts, belts, watches, wallets, sportswear, and ladies' tops. Need to pick up lunch or dinner? Well, check our food court. All available at the Fab India Expo from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Final few booths left at the Mid-Center Mall Mid-Year Flea Market. Call 340-6565. Starting the 6th of May until the 30th of May. Call now to book your spot. 340-6565.
Super quality supermarket. Best quality and great prices. Get your fresh fruits, vegetables and meats. It's a one-stop shop for the most affordable groceries, baby items, kitchen supplies, bathroom accessories, car care supplies, pet food, toys and lots more, all at Super Quality Supermarket. Wide aisles, fully air-conditioned and secured parking. 3 locations nationwide: Hoover Car Park, Hoover, 98 Endeavour Road, Shogunas, and 47 Tissue Drive, Trinity. Super Quality Supermarket. Eden Heights Clinic. Live blood analysis with instant results. Colon hydrotherapy, ozone therapy, prolozone therapy, complete detox, weight loss, oxygen baths, diet and nutritional programs, supplements and health foods, treatment for all lifestyle diseases, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, men and women issues and much more at Eden Heights Clinic, 13 Montague Avenue, Trinity. 763-5292, 640-8985.
Welcome to OATS, Optimal Alternative Treatment Solutions Limited, the future of healthcare, which provides full body scans, which we detect and treat cancer, tumors, all heart conditions, cysts, fibroids, dementia, Parkinson's, just to name a few. No radiation and medication is not needed. If you are tired of getting no results, call us at 354-4459 or 356-7226.
Welcome back to the program Conversations with Zelisa, where we continue to inform, educate, empower and answer those unanswered questions. Sometimes the topics we choose are very sensitive, but it's important, whether it's sensitive or not, to talk about it, have open discussion, so we ourselves will have knowledge of what's happening, and of course as a nation, as a country, to step up and make better decisions, not just for the lives of our citizens, but also to ensure safety continues in our country. Welcome back. In conversation with Mr. Stevenson Byng, and he's talking to us about returning nationals from the Middle East. Mr. Byng, what do you think is the solution in your perspective, based on all the evidence that you have, based on all of the research, because I know you do a lot of research as well. This is your strength. What is your perspective with regards to what do we do next, or what should we do next rather?
Okay. The way forward. Looking at the way forward, I think we should assess all the persons who are requesting to come to return to Trinidad, and not just persons who left, but there were children who were born here.
Correct. There were children who were born there that are nationals there now.
Well, you can't even say nationals because the caliphate wasn't a country. The ISIS said they set up in 2014, 30th of June, Baghdadi said he set up the caliphate, but it wasn't a state as such. There's no documentation. They say, well, this is the state, you have a passport belonging to the caliphate. So you are national from
So
where?
you're saying they have no documentation whatsoever?
No, in fact, when you reach Syria, they took your passport for security reasons. So you have no documentation to prove that you...
Who you are, where
No.
you're from, where you were born, nothing of the... Okay.
And then you have children who were born there who don't have any documentation. Again, a scenario was presented. Fighters went out to fight, and before they left, they told their brothers, listen, if I die during battle, would you take my children as yours, adopt my children? So there are fighters who lost their lives, and other brothers, Muslim brothers, made a promise that they will take care of their children. Now they want to come back home. They have these adopted children, but they can't prove that these children, they have adopted these children legally. So what do you do with these children? It is really a serious dilemma for the country.
Is. It's
You know,
sad.
and the
And
children...
very sensitive as well.
Of course.
You're talking about lives.
But we could say, okay, there are some countries that send them to a third country. Say, okay, you all want to come out of Syria, fine. Go to a third country, you know, and stay elsewhere. If the third country will accept you, we could say, okay, let's bring them back. Let's bring them back. Let's start with the children, right? And you don't want to separate the children from their mothers. So let's say...
Why would you want to take children away from their parents?
So let's say you bring back the children on a phase basis. Say, okay, we bring back this family this month or this quarter. We look again, we process some.
And I really feel if the families are taking responsibility and they're not putting the burden on the state and they're saying, look, this is my family and we take personal responsibility financially. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we take that responsibility, then the burden becomes theirs and not that of the state. Why not bring their families back to them?
Even to get money, Zelisa, to Syria, to help bring back these nationals. Some of the channels that were used to send money to these people, they were classified as financing foreign fighters or financing terrorism and things. So these channels can't be used again. How do you get money to these fighters? Some of the persons, like the Al-Haq camp was being run by Kurds. If the Kurds were classified and declared a terrorist organization, it means you have to negotiate with a terrorist organization to bring back these people. How, where do you start? And I'm saying we have to...
I really understand your point and you're making a lot of sense. But I think I'm also entitled to a perspective. And I believe if an adult makes a conscious effort, knowingly what they're going for, then they should be held accountable for that. But I honestly think in my heart that the children should not be held accountable for the crime or the choices of their parents. It's unfortunate. They should, that's my perspective.
No, and you're correct.
These children should not be held accountable or be treated less than they should because of the crime or the choices of a parent. Children 8 years old, 5 years old, parents picking them up and saying, we're going to a better country. It's like if we're facing crime and I take my daughter because I'm concerned about crime and I say to her, we are leaving for a country for better. They're excited. They think they're going Disney World. She thinks she's going on an adventure. It's a whole new thing. But my child shouldn't be held accountable. So if I decide I'm going to do something illegal in another land, you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree. And we as nationals, I'm saying the psyche of the Trinidadian is willing to accept that. Say, listen, these are children, we shouldn't hold the children accountable for their parents' sins. No. Let's look at the children. But should we separate a mother from her daughter or her son? You know, let's say the father has died. He was killed in battle. He made bad choice, right? The wife had to follow her husband, as the case may be.
Of course.
Right?
In many cases, the
yes.
wives, they have no say, or they, whatever you say, jump how high. You know, you do have to follow what your husband says.
And we could say, okay, let's say, I mean to say, it's a delicate discussion,
It's
but we,
very, very delicate.
we have to sit down and say, listen, what's all this did South Africa do? After the end of apartheid, they say, listen, let us have the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Let's do it, because there was so much atrocity, so much wrong that was done on both sides. When would you stop investigating? When would you stop punishing people? Listen.
When will it stop? You're correct.
So we need to say, listen, could the government grant an amnesty to these people? Because when we passed our Anti-Terrorism Act, some of these people had left already.
Right.
So it wasn't a crime for what they were doing. So now they have to come back to Trinidad. You know, you can't charge me for a crime that wasn't a crime at the time. So we have to look at it and say, listen, let's deal with this case by case too. Look at this group. Of course, some of them mightn't tell the truth, but we have to take it on what they say, what information we get from our allies, our friends, the other security agencies that operating in Syria and getting information that could collaborate. The German government had a private company that were actually collecting information and interviewing foreign fighters or returning nationals, that they provided information to the government of Germany, you know, the security services, and they collaborated with the American government, with the British government too, to look at all these instances and how best we could treat with it. All right, we have to deal with it.
So what you're saying is that we should perhaps look at what other countries analyze, take out the abstract, take out the best, and come to a decision and act on that.
Australia started a program. I know the British have a program called radicalization program, where they even use imams and people who, returning fighters, who have severed ties with some of these ideologies and some of these organizations, and they work in these rehab centers, de-radicalization centers, and actually counsel young people. In fact, they go so far as to, if they see young persons in mosques now, or even on the streets, who talking about this ideology and want to go far right or far left, as the case may be, bring them in and talk with them. So they're not waiting for them to go.
They need to have some sort of intervention with regards to deep counseling in order to be able to come and fit in and be part of society again.
I agree.
They've been psychologically scarred.
We can't run, Zelisa.
We can't run from it. We can't run. We need to address it, and we need to not think that it's sensitive and delicate, but rather deal with it as a country, as a nation, in terms of moving forward. Yeah, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today to address this burning. Perhaps I should have you and Miss Nafisa come in on the program, and let's have an open discussion, her perspective with regards to how she's fighting.
It's good.
And you know, that combination of your good self and her, and we'll be able to have further deep discussion. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll work on that. I give you my word on that.
We appreciate it.
All the best. We look forward to seeing you really soon. Thanks again, sir, and God's choicest blessings.
Thank you very much.
Do continue to stay with us. This is the program Conversations with Zelisa, as we continue to inform, educate, empower, and answer those unanswered questions. And of course, I assure you, we're going to certainly have deep further discussions on this particular topic, you know, returning nationals from the Middle East. Yeah? Stay with us when we return. Pastor Clive Dottin. Now he's going to address, you know, gang violence in schools when we return. Stay with us.
Everything used to irritate me. Politics, the lack of manners these days, remembering passwords, honestly. Even my milk drink, that used to really irritate me. Well, my tummy at least. Not now though. I've gone goat. It's mild on my insides, much better. Still thoroughly irritated by politics though, and global warming. Why don't more people bike like me? I don't drive. I don't even have a licence.
Baby steps, toddler. Go gentle. Go goat.
Baby Steps Goat Milk, available at Eden Heights Clinic, leading pharmacies and supermarkets throughout Trinidad and Tobago. For wholesale inquiries, contact 640-8985 493-9196.
The Untold Truth every Friday at 6 p.m. The journey has just begun with Master Eric. Zelisa. A new kind of podcast getting to the root of hidden knowledge. You can join us on Facebook, Conversations with Zelisa, TT, and YouTube, Master Eric. Your journey has just begun.
The Socially Displaced Restoration Center, SDRC, is a non-profit company that serves the socially displaced persons who live on the streets of Couva. Our mission is to establish an overnight shelter with rehab services to house them. Pending this establishment, we have been doing weekly food distributions every Friday evening for the past 2 years and continuing. We, the SDRC, also host a care day every 2 months, partnering with the Couva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation to use the Ancient Alley Promenade in Couva with the support of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Central Division for our safety, where we erect a temporary shower to provide the homeless who live on the streets of Couva with the opportunity to have a shower, receive clean clothing, obtain medical attention with our volunteer doctors and nurses, and where they can have their grooming and barbering needs addressed. We are a company supported by the community and based on volunteerism. Every donation to this humanitarian endeavor is appreciated. Please contact us to sponsor a meal or make a donation. Let us pause to remember to give the gift of love and kindness to a community that is often forgotten.
Welcome back to the program Conversations with Zelisa, where we continue to inform, empower, and answer those unanswered questions. I'm in conversation with a gentleman I have a high regard and respect for. I so enjoy sitting. I always feel at the end of a conversation in a positive way, but more importantly enriched with his wealth of knowledge as he continues to share. Dr. Pastor Dottin, making the news always, a force to be reckoned with, and recipient of one of the highest awards in this country, and you continue to be a warrior in the forefront. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It has been a long time.
I was in
India, you know.
You went India right after as you came back. I went to India.
I realized that.
You know, before we talk about violence, I would like to know firsthand, share with the world your experience of incredible and fascinating India.
I want to say that for first timers, particularly, I was a first timer.
Yeah.
I got 2 opportunities to go before, but I couldn't make it. But if on your first trip you go to New Delhi, then Varanasi, the city of the dying, and I was part of a worship experience in an ashram in Varanasi.
Yeah.
That's your culture is you can't miss it. Culture dominates everything. You know, on the Ganges River, I witnessed a wedding and a cremation, and a set of cremations, and in the middle of the cremations, a wedding.
Yeah.
And after the wedding, I went further into the silk factory. I showed them where they do the thing like you read in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know?
I kept on top of all of your comments and pictures, you know.
And right after the wedding, you have a funeral. They're getting ready to carry a body down, you know, to the Ganges, banks of the Ganges River.
The beginning of life and the ending of life.
I will say this. I will say this. You told me before, you prepared me psychologically. You told me when you go to India, you'll never be the same. And I found that.
Yeah.
Well, I went to investigate. I was part of a research team. So you had people from Ghana, South Africa. You had one from India, being part of the research team. You had one from China. You had one from Brazil. You had one from America. There's 12 of us. We had to interview 66 volunteers on the ground who would like to be employed full-time. They get a stipend now, want to be employed full-time in the following institutions. The Life Hope Center, the urban centers of influence with populations of more than 1 million,
Yeah.
and our health clinics. All right? So we had to interview in a limited time those 3 institutions that are, most of them, virgin territory. By the way, we have firmly established schools in India.
I saw that and I was really very
Could I tell you
impressed.
something?
Please.
This will shock people. We have a school in Kolkata that has 1,000 students and only 30 are Seventh-day Adventists. So the school is really an outreach program. 970 don't belong to our faith. Most of them are Hindus and Muslims, and a few Buddhists. But I mean, and nobody feels threatened, and that's what I want to say.
They all feel the same.
And Kolkata has 15 million people. When I landed in Kolkata, I will tell you this. From Varanasi, we went to Kolkata. It's the last place. It took me 18 hours to go, and it took me 20 hours to come back because I didn't book properly from Kolkata to Mumbai. So I went through the original route.
So you went to Mumbai as well?
I went to Mumbai as well. I didn't stay any time there. I was just in transit.
Okay.
So,
what you thought of the airports?
oh,
Were you impressed?
Yes. And the airport in New Delhi is something else
beautiful.
itself.
Yes.
In fact, New Delhi is the architectural
It is, isn't
masterpiece of India.
Yes,
I
it
mean, I
is.
took pictures of that too.
Yeah.
And
Very
I
British, very British.
Very British, of
buildings.
course. I went
Well kept.
the restaurants are phenomenal, I must tell you. You know, my mother spoiled me rotten. Huh? I don't eat this, I don't eat that, I hardly eat provision. Sweet potato and English potato, yes, you know. I don't like callaloo, I don't like okra, fish. But I will tell you, I found the meal preparation to be exquisite.
Yes.
And I could have attempted some things I don't like at all.
Yeah.
So I went in Kolkata to the Friday to a restaurant there. They took all of us. They overfed us there, I'm telling you. When I got the appetizer, I thought it was the main course.
Yeah.
So I plunged into it, only to realize it was just the appetizer. Lord. But in terms of the people are lovely, in terms of cross-cultural dimension, if I feel, people might be mad with me for saying it, anybody who wants to be engaged in cross-cultural ministry or counseling should go to India first. My opinion.
I'm happy that you've said that, coming from someone like you.
Yes. And if you have an open mind and a broad worldview like my mother taught me to have, I mean, you appreciate India big time.
You do. You're never the same.
Yeah.
It's an experience of a lifetime. I always tell people, it will transform you in a way that you can't believe. You look at life in a different perspective altogether. So we can go on, and I'd love to stay and talk about India because I've had some phenomenal experiences as well.
You have been there a few times, well?
Many times, but this time in a business aspect, and how India would have grown by leaps and bounds, and how much not this they're doing for themselves, but for the world as well.
The media is very impressive to the local media.
Very much so.
I mean, their training schools, their journalistic training schools are doing a marvelous job with young people.
Amazing.
Highly competitive too, I understand, to get
Highly
in.
competitive.
Like cricket.
Virat
Kohli and the rest.
Cricket is a religion there.
Oh, it is a religion. It is a religion. Oh, by the way, before we change off, I met a Sikh in New York.
Did.
I think he took to me, it was love at first sight. He took to me, he looked out for me. I was sitting down and waiting to board, but the flight was 4 hours delayed. Air India I went on.
Oh, you did?
Right through, Air India. And he, when he saw a space, the guy got up and he came and sat down next to me. He said, you know something? He says, you know, meetings are organized by another power. And I believe you and I, the higher power, organized for us to meet.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, it reminds me when I was in
deep as
Toronto and a
well.
white Croatian came to me and says, I never met him before in Toronto. You must do my graduation, you know. He didn't have a clue about me that I do 14 graduations every year.
Divine intervention.
Divine intervention, yes.
Pastor, speaking of divine intervention, we certainly need divine intervention
Oh, sister.
when it comes to
I
our
am telling you,
children.
we need.
I remember on my flight, just the last flight to India, we did, it was Port of Spain, Panama, Panama, Amsterdam, Delhi. And while I was on the flight, I was sending information to my director.
Yes.
So he kept that. It's some footage that I saw. And I told him, well, when I get back, we'll address it. And luckily enough, it's something you want to speak about. And I'm happy that our children are going back out to school. but it's not going to, it's a topic that needs to be addressed because it's about violence, it's about our children. And it's sad and depressing and also very disappointing to see the behavior of some of our children in schools.
Well, let me tell you something. We have a lot of hurt people who are exhibiting what the psychologists call displaced aggression. There's a school not too far from here.
You know, Pastor, I remember once having a conversation with you and you said, Zelisa, hurt people hurt people.
Yes, yes. Well, let me come to this case from a secondary school not too far from here. Principal calls me. At that time, it was called junior secondary. And the 14-year-old girl was trying, you see this precocious sexual activity among minors and adults advantaging minors and school children? That is an issue that we are running from in this country.
And it's real.
It's real. Listen, that mother had that girl in a prostitutionary relationship with a man who was 24 years a senior. She was a minor. I mean, that is serious stuff. And we have had an issue not too long ago. All right, that is statutory rape.
It is. But the mother
had the
being
girl
caught in it.
So the girl was getting money from the taxi driver so that she was selling her daughter. Actually, she wouldn't want to admit that. She was seen as a kind-hearted man. And what the girl did to break the cycle of sexual abuse, she went to the principal. The principal was a pastor's wife. I remember that like if I seen it yesterday. It was a pastor's wife.
Yeah.
The pastor's wife, who didn't belong to my religion, had a broad worldview. She didn't say, oh, you know, I am not 7 days, so I am calling the 7 days man. She called me. And that's how we solved the problem. The networking between us, and we solved the problem.
That's brilliant.
Let me tell you something. There's a school closer than that school to here right now. And I recall one day I went to that school, and a 14-year-old Form 3 student shaped her hand like a gun and said, pow, pow, pow. And she smiled. So I said, but this is something serious. This is something embedded, to quote one of Steve Byng words, in the psyche of the young person. The girl watches me, and she shapes her hand. The 4 fingers pointed to me as the barrel of the gun and said, pow, pow, pow. When I went to that school, I went to this school courtesy Love Until Foundation that Steve Byng is, and Simone and Brian Jones and Rachel and them are very connected with. And the principal was in a cell. Her office was a cell. And nothing much has changed.
And this is happening in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, in a, not too far from here, in a cell. And then the Love Until Foundation had asked me to deal with the gamblers in the school. So it took about 2 weeks for them to settle down, and then we had a great relationship. But I will tell you, a 14-year-old boy, 15-year-old boy pulled me aside in the schoolyard. He was a big-time gambler. And the gambler at school was also the drug dealer. So you see, all this going on for like 10 years before we had the explosion in violence, you know. And that 15-year-old boy told me, see, on the lookout in Lady Young Road, they killed my cousin. And I know the killer, and I will kill him. There's a Form 4 boy talking to me, you know, say, I know the killer, and I will kill him. He said, Pastor, I ain't gambling, but I don't want to be a lifetime gambler. I ain't gambling because we have no support at home, and I have been recruited, and it's working for me, so I want to be. All right, now in that school, the lead gambler, right, was also the lead drug dealer. And he was also the sexual icon for the girls in that school.
God.
The sexual icon, huh? He was still underage, he was 16. And the
16
girls, and you know
old.
what I discovered in that school is that the Form 1 and Form 2 girls were the girls who were rushing him. And they were...
Form 1 and Form 2.
Yes, they were rushing him.
12, 13, 14.
Switch from there and let's go to another school in St. Joseph. I won't say especially with school. But in that school, I went to a PTA meeting, and there was a Christian girl who was the member of my church, who was the social worker. And when I went to that school, I listened carefully. And the parents discovered that the girls were not the aggressors sexually. Not the boys were not the aggressors, the girls were the aggressors. So that's something we have to watch. We have to look at the whole gender construct in where we are. But in terms of, you know, about 14 years ago, I went to Belmont Junior Sec. I never forget that experience. I didn't go to lecture. I've done several lectures there. But I went to meet one boy, one Form 1 boy, who had come to one-day school. He attended school for one day in a term, but every morning he in school uniform and he coming up there. So we wondered who was occupying that boy for a whole term.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Well, when we come back, we're going
Yes.
to talk about that boy and so much more, and then we're going to share some videos of how our children are behaving. When we talk about school violence, we're going to actually show you what's happening or what's been happening in our schools when we return. Stay with us.
Visit Fab India Expo at the White Tent opposite Medford Gas Station, Shogunas. Get the latest fashion, Indian and Western garments, and just in time for Eid, we've got Islamic wear available. Getting married or attending a wedding? Then this is the place for you. From bridal to elegant wear with matching jewelry and footwear. Curtains starting at $4 for $100. Also available shirts, belts, watches, wallets, sportswear, and ladies tops. Need to pick up lunch or dinner? Well, check our food court. All available at the Fab India Expo from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Final few booths left at the Mid-Center Mall Mid-Year Flea Market. Call 340-6565. Starting the 6th of May until the 30th of May. Call now to book your spot. 340-6565.
Super quality supermarket. Best quality and great prices. Get your fresh fruits, vegetables and meats. It's a one-stop shop for the most affordable groceries, baby items, kitchen supplies, bathroom accessories, car care supplies, pet food, toys and lots more, all at Super Quality Supermarket. Wide aisles, fully air-conditioned and secured parking. 3 locations nationwide: Couva Car Park, Couva, 98 Endeavour Road, Shogunas, and 47 Tissue Drive, Trin-City. Super Quality Supermarket. Visit Agri Savers Limited, number 19 Orange Grove Trace, St. Augustine, for all your agriculture, livestock, pet, agri-equipment, hydroponics, cannabis, fishing tackle supplies, and much more. Open Monday to Friday 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Contact 473-6074, 663-1094. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome to OATS, Optimal Alternative Treatment Solutions Limited, the future of healthcare, which provides full body scans, which we detect and treat cancer, tumors, all heart conditions, cysts, fibroids, dementia, Parkinson's, just to name a few. No radiation and medication is not needed. If you are tired of getting no results, call us at 354-4459 or 356-7226.
Welcome back to the program Conversations with Zelisa. I'm in conversation with Pastor Clive Dottin, Dr. Pastor Clive Dottin. I may say, well-deserved, work extremely hard for it. He's a walking institution, and today he's talking to us about violence in our schools. Dr. Pastor Dottin, welcome back. Georgie, I would like to go to some of the footage, and Pastor, let's have a look.
Sure.
And, when we come back, we'll discuss what we're going to see at this time.
Wow.
Look at this. Look at this. And it's not just 1 or 2. Watch. Look at the girls as well. Now, I don't think, we don't have the audio on, do we? No, because you know what? I cannot afford to play because of the level of profanity from the mouths of these children. I believe we do have another video as well, if I'm not mistaken. Look at this. At how many children are beaten. What is happening here?
Yeah, there's an adult trying to intervene, but it's hard.
Look at this. You send your children to school. to do schoolwork and to be educated, and they're gone outside and they're misbehaving too. One bad blow and that's the end of that. That perhaps is a teacher
Yeah, there
that
are
got
two teachers
involved.
trying to intervene.
And they getting it too, they're collecting blows too. There was another video as well, Akua, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Now I cannot use audio again. Now let me say that because of the level of profanity. Look at this. You have an adult trying to get involved too. Watch this. Look at that. What is that? Tell me. Thank you so much,
And the lady,
Akua.
the adult falls down, huh?
Yeah. Thank you, Akua. You send your children to school, you're working hard, some of us paying loans, all kind of thing, making sacrifices, doing 2 and 3 jobs, allowing our dreams to die, to give birth to these children, to educate them, and that's the behavior.
Well, I want to go back in time for a moment. We'll have to continue this next week. But, you know, there was a time when you had a development. I remember with Tranquility Secondary School on Victoria Avenue. You had a development there where a particular principal who had a tremendous reputation was sent into that school. Emergency wise, they moved the principal. That same school had A.N.R. Robinson's daughter on the ground, you know. And whether she's A.N.R. Robinson's daughter is
Whoever
not the
daughter
issue.
she is, she's
Whoever
somebody's
she is,
child, yeah.
but she was on the ground, all right, because she went apart to fight. Now, I want to give some advice to principals and school administrators.
Please do.
You know, I have a friend called Hollis James. He works in a university in the States. He said, you know something? Nothing is tailor-made for mobs, than a school. Because teachers are hopelessly outnumbered.
Correct.
When I taught Barataria, what is called Barataria North Secondary, you had 1,000 students. And you had a staff of about 80. Now, 80 could never handle and fight 1,000. I mean, what you say? So you have to have a strict disciplinary system and code in the school, you know.
Now, your humble beginnings, I don't know if a lot of people know, started with educating. You're an educator.
That's right, yes.
You started teaching.
6 years in primary and 3 years in secondary.
That's where you started.
Exactly. And I
So
saw it all.
You saw it
And
all.
I parted a fight. I could tell you the year. It was 1978 in Barataria North Secondary School. And blood was flowing. Right?
Now
In
that's
the
40-something years
3AA.
ago.
That's 40-something years ago. At that time, the shift system proved to be toxic. It exposed a wider number of young people, all right, group of young people to education. There was incomplete education. And a lot of the folks who couldn't really read and write, they were cast aside. You know, when you were in that school, you knew the very brightest and the very terrible, the very indisciplined. And in the middle
one
there,
extreme to
you
the
lost. They almost had no name. Because you couldn't remember the name. It was too many. I had a student who used to work 10 days project, clock in the morning and come back into school and clock in and when you went with after the shift system, you know. So Williams had in mind, Eric Williams had in mind having education for all, but the plan was not well thought out, okay? The pluses and minuses of the shift system. So that was the foundation, all right? And now we have what we have. And by the way, we remove, I am not a marketing agent for corporal punishment, but we remove corporal punishment but put nothing in its place. And that is serious. I went back to that school a few years ago where I taught. Let me tell you something. Those teachers look like children. They can't stand up to no fight. And you see what went on at that thing just now? Apart from the big lady at the end who tried to intervene and she ended up falling down.
Yeah.
Look what happened in the dial last weekend. Last weekend was a school violence around the Rima dial. And that guy pulled down the police officers more than once. A student, I'm sure he's about 16 years old. So what I'm saying is the whole issue of discipline in these schools will have to be addressed. Otherwise, what you will have, the principal will be in jail, locked up in jail. That is supposed to be your office. And the teachers will hide from those children. Let me tell you something. There are teachers who refuse to go out and teach, you know. I don't know if Nayan Gasby Dolly understands this. They're in the classroom, they're stuff, but they're not prepared to confront those kids. And by the way, some of those kids are armed. So you have 3 levels of violence in the secondary schools. You have the armed kids. You have the kids who are junior to senior bandit in the community.
Selling drugs.
Selling drugs, all right, and passing weapons, knives and things to the children. There was a school in Tego Martin that they had to search every student every day. The violence was so intense.
Just think of
and
that.
we went into that school, courtesy the Love Until Foundation too. And then there are schools that are just involved in raw fist fights. And Officer Shabidi said, there are some schools the children are engaged in it, not real, but just for the publicity. So they set up these fights, just to film them. The last 10 seconds of what you showed there, there was a good filming. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah. There was a good filming. But Officer Shabidi believes that some of these fights are prearranged.
Ah.
Yes. And it's real because real cuff passing.
Right.
But at the same time, it is arranged, all right, to market the young gangsters to the senior gangsters.
Wow, that's deep.
So you have to watch the marketing. You have to watch the drug trade. Now, I have said before, Trinidad doesn't really want to destroy crime. Trinidad wants to have a reduction in the murder rates. I have said that over and over because you can't want to eliminate crime and allow the cocaine to come in.
Correct.
And allow the guns to come
Correct.
in. Your customs compromise, your
I
immigration compromise,
Agreed.
your police, prison service, army compromise. All of those institutions compromise.
Agreed.
And the children know that, huh?
They're aware.
The children know that. I remember I went to St. Kitts, Bastia Secondary School. They brought a 17-year-old, the top drug dealer in the island, young drug dealer in Form 5. Brilliant guy. And I asked him a question. I says, you know anything about necklace killing? He said, of course I know. Then he proceeded to tell me, you get the tire, you put it, that's the necklace, on the neck of the person. You put gasoline there and you strike a match and you blow off the head.
My
God.
God.
By the way, that was made famous in the area of apartheid, necklace killings. They did that to blacks over and over and over. So that's the situation you have there. So I want to disabuse us of thinking that the average criminal today is a dunce. That's nonsense. They're strategic. You have the recruitment system for secondary school students now is not an accidental thing. It's deliberate. It's the drug dealers trying to ensure, and the gun dealers, and the gunmen, that crime lasts beyond all of us. We will die, and they'll have criminal activity prospering in the nation. They have determined that, and they feel the way to accomplish that is to have young people recruited from all now. I tell folks, and I said it in The Guardian yesterday, that there are young people who attend underground training academies to learn to shoot. You have young people, 14 and 15, who are great marks people, and they're in school, marksmen. They are in school. This girl told me, she said, you know, my husband is a bandit, and he said he will always be a bandit, he will die being a bandit. Young girl telling me that. And she was with him.
She's proud to say this.
No, but she wanted to get out, praise God.
Thank you.
But her family didn't want her, so I got onto the uncle eventually, and he took her back in. I impressed upon him to take her back in, and he took her back in. Well, thank God we saved that one. Huh?
Pastor, your closing comments, you know.
My closing comments, the parents is your child. It's not the grandparents' child, it's your child. And I am saying, I said this to 2 radio stations today. 1 television station and 1 radio station.
One this morning on our radio station.
Yes, I said, go to the school on a shop visit. Don't tell your child when you're coming, because he'll be on his best behavior or her best behavior.
Correct.
Pay regular but unannounced visits to the school.
Agreed.
Have your teacher, the teacher of your child, as an ally, as a friend, not as a competitor or enemy.
Correct.
All right, the teacher must be. Do not tell your children to strike back the teacher. I know some parents, Zelisa, they tell the child, if the teacher lash you, lash back that teacher, throw on the ground.
Total disrespect and disregard.
So, God bless.
Thank you. God bless you as well. Looking forward to you joining us next week again as we could continue to, you know, develop topics that would be relevant and would get the message home to parents. Be responsible parents, according to Pastor Clive Dottin. I thank you kindly. We'll see you soon. This is where we're going to end things up for today. I want to remind you to be mindful, to be good law-abiding citizens. Do what you have to do to always respect the law of the land. Here's reminding you that with God, all things are possible. Thank you so much for choosing us. I am Zelisa Budising Rupani. Do have a safe, productive, fruitful, and blessed day. Stay with us.